Tonight,
Hello, SkepticalRoot here again. I said my next video was going to be on counter-apologetics, and I decided to take the easy route, and I'm going to do Pascal's wager. Mostly because I'm hoping to do a shorter video of this, and between this and the Kalam, I have less to say about it because it's really a simple choice between the two. Pascal's wager is from Blaise Pascal. According to Wikipedia here, he was born 19 June 1623, died 19 August 1662. Considered a French mathematician, physicist, inventor, writer, and Christian philosopher, who we might otherwise call a apologist. Pascal's wager goes as follows. I'm going to read the whole thing from the explanation in Wikipedia. This is from his Pensies. Passage in Pascal's wager is as follows. If there is a God, he is infinite, incomprehensible, since having neither parts nor limits, he has no affinity to us. We are then incapable of knowing either what he is or if he is. God is or he is not. To which side shall we incline? Reason can be decided nothing here. Or reason can decide nothing here. There's an infinite chaos which separates us. A game is being played at the extremity of the infinite distance where heads or tails will turn up. Will you wager? According to reason, you can do neither the one thing nor the other. According to reason, you can defend neither of the positions. Do not, then, reprove for error those who have made a choice, for you know nothing of it. No, but I blame them for having made, not this choice, but a choice. For again, both he who chooses heads and he who chooses tails are equally at fault. They are both in the wrong. The true course is not to wager at all. Yes, but you must wager. It is not optional. You are embarked. Which will you choose then? Let us see. Since you must choose, let us see which interests you least. You have two things to lose, the true and the good, and the two things to stake, your reason and your will, your knowledge and your happiness, and your nature has two things to shun, error and misery. Your reason is no more shocked in choosing one than the other, since you must of necessity choose. This is one point settled. But your happiness? Let us weigh the gain and the loss in wagering that God is. Let us estimate these two chances. If you gain all. If you lose nothing. Wager then, without hesitation, that he is. That is very fine, yes. I must wager, but I must perhaps wager too much. Let us see. Since there is an equal risk of gain and loss, if you had only to gain 2 lives instead of 1, you might still wager. But if there were 3 lives to gain, you would have to play, since you are under the necessity of playing, and you would be imprudent when you are forced to play, not to chance your life to gain 3 at a game where there is an equal risk of loss and gain. Be there an eternity of life and happiness, and this being so, if there were an infinity of chances, of which one only would be for you, you would still be right in wagering 1 to win 2, and you would act stupidly, being obliged to play, by refusing to stake 1 life against 3 at a game in which, out of an infinity of chances, there is 1 for you. If there were an infinity of an infinitely happy life to gain, but there is here an infinity of an infinitely happy life to gain, a chance of gain against against a finite number of chances of loss, and what you stake is finite. Now, we've all seen the charts, I'm sure, at some point with the probabilities of if you win, if you're right and there's a God and you believe in God, then you win ultimate happiness. If you believe in God and there is no God, it's, as my college philosophy professor once referred to it as, it's dirt nap. If there is a God and you choose not to believe, then you go to hell. And if there is no God and you don't believe, then it's just dirt nap. So your options here are to either win big or dirt nap. Or I suppose you could go to hell if an all-loving God was one to send you to hell. There are plenty of criticisms of Pascal's wager, being that the most prevalent one I hear, and I ignore the ones that are in the Wikipedia article, because they're all good objections. They don't get to the heart of Christian theism, though. And I would say that the big one is, are you sure it's the right God? If you believe in the wrong God, does the wager hold? And, of course, the answer is no. If you're a Jew and Allah is actually the God, and you have to follow the tenets of Islam, well, you're kind of screwed. That's all there is to it. I mean, Muhammad did not have a love for the Jews. At least not in the Quran. The Hadith, I should say the Hadiths, it's multiple groups of instructions, not all followed, but many of them were not very kind to the Jews, even less kind to the Jews. Christians fared slightly better, but probably because they were Gentiles and maybe they had more money, who knows. Maybe they didn't have as much money and they felt more similar to the Bedouin sheep herders that were following Islam. But so if it's the wrong God, what if it's Vishnu, or what if it's Zeus? Back to the Greek gods. If it's not Zeus, what if it's Odin? Ooh, the All-Father. Or any number of other gods. Maybe it's a minor god. Maybe maybe Hades is actually God, and we just got him all wrong, and we followers of other gods vilified him, but he's actually the creator God. Who knows? You know, I could be God for the purpose of this argument, that we don't know which God. Even if we could only assume the Christian God Yahweh was correct, this doesn't hold, because you don't have to choose. Pascal wants to make it clear that you must choose. There has to be a choice. But you can not choose. You don't have to say that this is the God or this is not the God. You could say, I don't know. You know, you would put you in a position where you're, for all intents and purposes, no different than somebody who had never heard of Yahweh. That might lead you to a dirt nap, but then again, there's all kinds of conscriptions and proscriptions and activities that you're required to do as a Christian of the faith that you wouldn't have to deal with. You could spend time, instead of going to church, you could go donate to the poor or the hungry or the downtrodden, or go to a country club and golf or something like that. Something that doesn't take up your time going to church, and perhaps forcing yourself to associate with people you don't agree with. I would consider hypocrisy, immoral to a large extent. And if you went to a church where they hated gays and you didn't have a problem with gays, or they hated the Jews and you happen to be married to a Jewish woman or man or something like that, that's none of that is really it's dishonest, but it also puts you in this uncomfortable situation where you could be doing something else, something good, something bad, doesn't matter, but you waste your time on believing. And I'm gonna ignore the fake it till you make it argument for Pascal's wager, because Pascal is a pragmatist. One of the things that this argument is about is, it's not about believing because it's true. It's about believing because that is your best choice of the argument laid out. And he lived in a Christian kind of Catholic country, you know, 1700s, 1600s, 17th century. That was your option. You basically had, you believe in Yahweh and the Christian God, or you don't. And his argument was, from a practical standpoint, you're better off believing. If it's right and you decided that you believed and you acted as if you believed and did all the things that were required for belief and believed that the only thing you had to lose was nothing. You lose the dirt nap possibility. You lose the going to hell possibility. So in this case, Pascal is saying it just makes sense because that's the only options, and that's not the only option. So I've only had twice, maybe not once, maybe twice in my life, someone pull Pascal's wager out, which got immediate smackdown for me, and that's with basically the argument that I don't have to choose. I don't have to make that choice. If I don't make that choice, and first off, this is getting off the subject, but this has to do with my last video talking about my growing up as in a Catholic household. One of the things about the resurrection of Jesus that supposedly, or the death and resurrection of Jesus that supposedly did, was that it absolved mankind of sin. Jesus died for us to absolve our sins. And no part of that contract does it seem to be that I had to follow the teachings of the church in order to be saved. Jesus' death freed all men and all of mankind from the sins of Adam and original sin. So none of us have original sin anymore. We still get baptized, apparently, because apparently that's not good enough. But Jesus' death saved us. What do I have to do now? Maybe go and be a good person? I could do that without believing that Jesus did that. I'm in the mythicist camp, and I will I'll make a video about my views on the historicity of Jesus at some point, but just to throw that out there, he's right to some extent that we cannot reason the existence of God, although I could say that we could reason our way out of any definition of God. And as an atheist, I think that that's been done, but there are those that believe, and there are those that think Pascal's wager is a good idea. I'm not one of them, and I don't accept the terms of Pascal's wager, which is one of my main refutations of it. But even if I do accept all of his tenets, what if the God's wrong? What if I didn't actually have to choose? So that's Pascal's wager for me. I flipped a coin on whether to do Pascal or the Kalam. I might do Kalam next, but I might also just talk about some other stuff. I don't want to get too, I am an atheist. I am going to do atheist content on here, but I'm not going to just do atheist content on here. There's a lot of stuff to talk about, and I will get to it eventually. So that's it for me. Thanks, everyone, and goodbye, and hello, as always.
If it doesn't